Updates are what have kept Fortnite's experience so fresh, revitalizing, and in some cases frustrating for a lot of people, especially when people spend a lot of time trying to learn the meta and different strategies, and all of a sudden they're like, nope, goodbye. And you know, most times the things they add are pretty well thought out, reviewed by the fans and for the fans, but every now and again we have a bit of a hiccup and they're just like, balance? Where we're going, we won't need any of that. And then they add a tank, and now we're playing Minecraft World of Tanks 2 HD Remastered Greatest Hits. See that house over there? Let's remodel it. Welcome to Extreme Home Makeover! Number 10, Kevin the Cube's Runes. Throughout all of Season 5, a mysterious purple cube was created and embarked upon a journey around the entire Fortnite island. The community became so involved with it that we actually gave him the nickname Kevin. The reason why Kevin appeared on the map is still fuzzy, but we know that he left behind some sort of symbols burnt into the ground before he exploded at the end of the season. Some think that the symbols may have spelled out, use code T5G in the item shop when copping some heat. But the update that added the cube is the first entry on the list. Kevin himself was a great addition to the game and by no means ruined it. In fact, a lot of the community loved having him as part of the map, but it was the runes that he left behind which completely broke the game. They even started to break during the grand finals of the summer skirmish. And what a great time for the game to break, right? As the final storm circle in the grand finals began to shrink and become a tiny area, it happened to be right on a rune that Kevin the Cube left behind. Now, usually these runes give players some form of low gravity, and it means they can jump pretty high. However, the game actually glitched out during the match and made all the players begin to fly around. It's an insane clip to watch, but shows how broken the runes made the game, and they had to be changed quite a few times by Epic Games while they were there. Rest in peace, Kevin. We'll miss you, buddy. We'll miss you. Number 9 is the Deagle buff. Believe it or not, there was a time when the hand cannon, more commonly known as the Deagle, was actually underpowered. Crazy, right? Well, when the Deagle first came out during Season 6, it wasn't that great at its job, and as a result, Epic Games decided to give it a buff. The 6.2 patch made it so that the gun, in just the Epic rarity alone, could one-shot any finished wooden build, and also one-shot any freshly built structure. The ability to one-shot builds alone made this hand cannon absolutely overpowered when fighting an enemy that is low on materials. Pro players used it constantly in tournaments, scrims, and normal matches. If you've used the hand cannon at all since Season 6, it's hard to not realize how insane the wall damage actually used to be. It was essentially a portable heavy sniper that thankfully, by the final update in Season 7, changed the gun's structure damage from 150 to 100. Now it takes at least 2 shots to bring down a build, and considering the fire rate is super low, it's nice to see the gun be finally somewhat balanced. Anyone playing Fortnite recently can easily see that barely anyone uses the pistol anymore. And if you still use the Deagle, let us know why in the comments. Is it just because it's a really cool gun? I think it's because it's a really cool gun and you guys played a lot of Modern Warfare 2. You guys remember the original Modern Warfare with that golden Deagle, and then you do the RPG jump, spin around. Woo! Ah, man. Take me back, you old McGregor, to those days. But seriously though, number 8 is the Shadow Stones. Oh boy. Shadow Stones, everyone's favorite addition. I'm kidding. The Shadow Stones were one of the most broken items in the history of Fortnite, and honestly, not even that useful in the gameplay. The Shadow Stones were consumable rocks that added at the start of Fortnite Season 6 next to the runes left by Kevin. You remember the runes from November 10th, right? Yeah, they caused even more problems when the stones began to appear. Shadow Stones gave anyone the ability to turn into a purple ghost thing that kind of floats around. It was pretty much useless is what I'm saying, but the only time I used it was to run from the storm or a crowd of angry scrimmers. That wasn't the issue with the stones, however. They were actually really broken, so broken in fact, that they were temporarily disabled only 12 hours into Season 6. Why? Well, a wildly reported glitch meant that people using the Shadow Stones could turn completely invisible in game. Not only could you be entirely invisible, but you still kept the low gravity jump effect so you could hop around like you were on the moon while blasting unsuspecting players. Epic Games swiftly disabled the item and left it out of the game for a whole 5 days before bringing it back. The glitch was so well known at the time that I was killed 3 lobbies in a row by invisible squads. It completely ruined Fortnite, and the stones were thankfully vaulted in the Season 7 release update. But in at number 7, we've got the empty chest bug. In January of 2018, Fortnite subreddits and forums suddenly exploded with posts wondering why their items weren't appearing after opening chests. It had been the result of a bug in the latest Fortnite update, which was stopping a large amount of chests from dropping anything. It seemed to be an extremely common glitch, as posts upon posts piled on one another with players asking what was happening. Some even reported that it was happening with supply drops and ammo crates. There were 3 different kinds of apparent glitches when opening a chest after the update. You could either open the chest but receive absolutely nothing, you could open the chest and the items would drop but you wouldn't be able to even pick them up, or you could open a chest but it wouldn't open and would stay locked and glowing. I wonder how annoying the chest would be if you couldn't destroy or open it and could constantly hear the The bug happened across every single platform, with users on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC all reporting that it was happening. It was fixed a few days after in the next Fortnite patch, but for a few days it was chaos, and opening a chest felt like you were playing Russian roulette. And at number 6, the double pumps removal. In Season 3 and then again in Season 5, Epic Games decided to permanently kill the double pump tag. Oh my god. Why? Why? The infamous technique was when players used more than one pump shotgun and switched between them to get the quickest and highest damage hits on a player than possible with any other gun. It was an insanely popular tactic which a lot of both professional and casual players used against each other. Unfortunately, Epic Games removed it in patch 5.0 when they added a small delay when switching between any form of shotgun, even the tag. Since then, a lot of fans have called for Epic to bring back the double pump, calling it the best part about the game and saying that removing it ruined Fortnite. While I do think that there's a good reason behind Epic adding the shotgun delay, it did take actual skill and aim to pull off a double pump. Now, adding the delay did ruin Fortnite for a lot of people, and I can see why. I mean, it's a really fun and satisfying way to get a kill, which doesn't rely on much luck and can be achieved in the early game because of how common shotguns were at the time. But we'd love to know what you thought about the double pump, because it's a very controversial feature from both sides of the argument. So let us know. But in number 5, we've got the Infinity Blade. The Infinity Blade was the second ever mythic rarity weapon added to Fortnite, just behind the Infinity Gauntlet, which could only be used in a special limited time mode that was added to promote the Avengers Infinity War. The Infinity Blade had a very sudden appearance and was added just after the start of Fortnite's 7th season. You could find it sticking out of the stone in the center courtyard on top of Polar Peaks. If you were lucky enough to get your hands on the sword first, you had to fight off everyone else who was gunning for the blade. I mean, it sounds like a challenge, right? Not really, because it turns out that the Infinity Blade was insanely overpowered. By equipping the sword, you'd get regenerative 400 health, a lunge with 0 fall damage, and a weapon that did a high amount of damage at 75 per hit with pretty much 100% accuracy. It was super hard to miss anyone with the thing as long as you were close to them. And just wait until you hear this. The blade even costed Chaos in a $1 million tournament. The Winter Royale was dominated by players using the sword, which was only added 24 hours before the tournament began. Imagine training for weeks for a tournament, learning the meta, ins and outs, constantly perfecting your strategies and your editing and your building, then getting killed by someone with a sword that was just added by just mindlessly kind of just swinging around. Thankfully, it was removed after 4 days due to the community showing their anger, and with Epic Games admitting they messed up and would be vaulting the item. It showed up in an LTM a few months later, however, with much needed changes. But in at number 4, we've got the Season 5 makes Fortnite unplayable on console. The update for Fortnite Season 5 absolutely destroyed the game on console to the point where it was almost unplayable for a lot of players, and the update caused a colossal amount of performance issues on console. The main issue involving landing in a location and none of the buildings or items rendering. You know when you use Google Earth and zoom in really far and all the buildings look like slime or like an absolute mess of shapes? That's what it looked like in Fortnite for a lot of players, and it made the game impossible to play because you wouldn't be able to find any weapons or items. Other issues from Season 5's update were enemies being invisible except for their gun or pickaxe. It also made loot invisible sometimes, so you only be able to see it if you hovered over it by accident and got the prompt to pick it up. A huge glitch involved the game freezing when looking at other players, which even happened on PC as well. And the update really did break Fortnite and created a bad standard of performance. But in at number 3, we've got the Refund Glitch issue. So the refund system in Fortnite is a really useful way to get your V-Bucks back if you dislike any cosmetic in your locker. With an upcoming accidental purchase refund button on the horizon, we're sure to get even more options for this. However, a glitch when refunds were first added allowed anyone to have unlimited refunds. The glitch involved switching between menus in the lobby fast enough that the refund system wouldn't take away one of your tokens, and you'd be able to keep doing it over and over again. While that sounds like a good thing, it caused Epic Games to remove refunds entirely for a couple of months while they fixed the issue. Completely ruined it for everyone who bought a cosmetic and wanted to refund it for a while, and by the time it arrived, those cosmetics would no longer have been eligible for a refund. And in at number 2, we've got the glider redeploys added to all modes. Before it was an item that you could pick up, redeployable gliders were actually a regular old feature. Originally only available in a soaring 50s LTM, you could redeploy your glider at literally any high point you wanted, and as many times as you wanted. However, one update to the game took glider redeploy out of the LTM and threw it into default playlists out of nowhere. Epic thought that the good response to the mechanic meant that everyone wanted redeploy available everywhere. Unfortunately, however, they thought wrong, because players could now easily easily swoop into other bases, builds, and even sneak up on them by landing in a tree. The audio of gliders was hard to distinguish, and therefore you could attack a whole squad out of nowhere with the new mechanic. It also meant that you could just glide away from a fight at any time, like making killing people really frustrating. The feature itself needed heavy reworking, so Epic Games did some audio tweaks to try to make redeploy work, but the fans were having none of it. After a huge amount of complaining and controversy, Epic decided to remove it from the default modes entirely and replace it with an itemized glider redeploy, and we think it's much better now. But in at number 1, the plane. No. Now, this is what I'm referring to when I said the intro, where literally they worked on balance for all of this time, and then they just dropped the planes in the game, and it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? The number 1 worst Fortnite update that completely ruined the game was indeed Season 7's introduction to the X4 Stormwing, the most controversial vehicle ever added to Fortnite. The plane had mounted turrets, the ability to destroy any structure, and a high speed. When they were first introduced, the Stormwings were crazily overpowered, and many players protested the addition of the planes. Ninja even threatened to quit Fortnite until the planes were vaulted. The X4 Stormwing was prone to a lot of nerfs, which never seemed to just get it right until Epic eventually gave up and decided to vault the vehicle in Update 8.0. Players around the world celebrated, and if this was a movie, we'd all probably be dancing in the streets. But that has been our list of the top 10 worst Fortnite updates that ruined the game. Be sure to use our code T5G in the item shop when purchasing some new skins. Also, join our Discord, link is in the description. Join the community, be a part of the conversation. We'll talk to you over there, but keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.